Hey, everybody, and happy Memorial Day. Welcome back to the Turnout. I am your host, Aloy. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you always know when the Turnout puts out a new video. So today is Memorial Day. I am not doing any barbecue or anything today. Instead, I've actually just been working all morning. And of course, now I am here with all of you beautiful people to talk some Charmed. Now, of course, last week we were from the beginning, honestly, we've been promised that episode 11 was the one that was going to shed light on everything. And I love the idea that they already told us from the beginning. This was even before they said that they were going to be canceled. They're like, no, 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 no. The plan was always episode 11 was going to have some big, shocking, world changing news. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Excuse me. Um, so like I'm here for it. So it's definitely going to be an amazing season finale. It's already leading up to that. I loved the new lore and the new story building and everything that this last episode delivered to us. I thought it was really, really great. So, I mean, with that in mind, we definitely want to make sure that we're going to go through the episode and we're going to talk about all of the awesome stuff that was there. Just like always, if you want to throw some stuff into the comment section, or I'm sorry, not the comment section, the chat, I'll hit those as we go. Unlike past episodes, instead of me going scene for scene, I am going to be I'm going to be hitting the big moments here, because I feel like there actually was, if I actually went scene for scene in this episode, I literally would probably, like, it would just be as long as an episode. It'd be like 45 minutes. So just kind of going through the episode, though, and talking about some of the big moments. First off, I just really loved this episode. I thought everything was really well executed. The reasons, for instance, that the sisterhood was separated, all of those reasons made moderate sense. And also, they weren't just separated for no reason. They were separated because there were multiple really important things happening. That was actually something that in past seasons, hello to Charm Power Babe. In past seasons, we had the sisters just be separated for no reason, just because they just were. And in this case, I actually liked it that, like, it wasn't that everybody was just separated for no reason. We had Kaela, who was kind of still reeling from Dev's funeral. We had Mel, who was trying to chase down murderers. I mean, and missing people. I mean, that's important. And then obviously, then you had Maggie, who was like, yeah, I mean, we need to be able to look into what's going on with Jordan's lead. So on the lost one. So it wasn't arbitrary. It wasn't just for no reason these people were separated and whatever. It was literally that these were all big deals. So I actually really, really liked that, in terms of really trying to hone in on this whole sisterhood, the idea that, like, the sisterhood has to start to break down and whatnot. And I don't know, I guess it's a little bit different because it's not as if it wasn't as if the sisterhood was like 100% anyway, because there was a lot of kind of questions around Kaela. And was she really a sister? I mean, they did a good job so far leading up to this episode for them to really kind of have that nice togetherness and that sisterly bond. But it was a bond. I felt like it was a strong friendship bond, and not necessarily sisterly bond. I mean, it could be anything really. Give me just a second. All right, I guess I don't have to do anything. My son's over here banging on my door. I'm like, I locked it for a reason. So, oh, kids. Let's start going through the episode. But I mean, I just want to say that like, so it starts off with Dev's funeral, and we have Jordan singing, which we were promised, and he did an amazing job with the song. I was surprised that it was a Wizard of Oz song, you know, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but good rendition. He has like the best voice. Yes, knock knock. I know, y'all. I know. I've been trying to get a way to do this live stream all day. I finally am able to, and all of a sudden, it's just it's hugely important that you come right now. It's like, no, it's not. Give me a minute. I'll be there in a moment. So I really, really liked that. And I loved the ending of the last episode where the unseen had the Book of Shadows. And I was like, oh, I don't know what they're going to do with this, but this is going to be awesome. So when they got to that part, and this was actually right in the beginning where the unseen, they have the Book of Shadows. They say, how do you recreate the bowl of unity? And then it's weird, right? Because the bowl of unity, it sounds like such a positive thing, but the bad guys need it in order to do this bad thing. It was cool because when I saw the people who were removing their hoods, it was hard. I'm going to have to go back and actually watch the episode, but it actually looked like it was the same Lamia who had taken off the hood. She looked very similar to the other Lamia in the other episode. And it could just be that it's such a long time ago that I'm, blending them in my brain. But I did like that the leprechaun's sister was there still. I liked that part as well. So we ended up having them kind of all around. They're like, now that we have the Bowl of Unity, we can revive the lost one. And I thought that was really, really cool. Now, getting to the sisters kind of breaking up with each other for an episode, it made a lot of sense for, it could have been the sister of the Lamia. I mean, you're definitely right. It looked very similar. It definitely looked very similar. Was it What a Wonderful World? See, and now I'm misremembering. You're right. It was What a Wonderful World. It wasn't Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Actually, those have very similar melodies. But you're right, actually. But I liked the fact that, it basically, they ended up splitting up, but it wasn't for anything that wasn't understandable. So Kaela's just like, yeah, I need time to kind of get over Dev. And they're just like, well, I mean, we can help you. And she's like, well, but no, give me time. I need time. Leave me alone. But if we just leave me alone, and that actually made a lot of sense. Not necessarily from Maggie's point of view, but from Mel's point of view, 100%. Because from Maggie's point of view, she would be like, I've been here. I've been here where somebody really close to me died and whatnot. And, I didn't need somebody to be all over me, which was why her and Mel had already, they were split at the beginning of the season because of the same reason. And I get that maybe she's like, well, I just don't want that to happen to us, with Kaela. But also, I'm sure she can understand that you need some space. Mel, she's overbearing. So that made a lot of sense. Like she would be like, no, we're going to go help her right now. So I definitely was behind that. I liked that idea. I also loved that Chloe went to Jordan for help. And the reason that I really liked that she went to Jordan for help was one line that she said, you're the white lighter for the rest of us. And I love that. I love that for Jordan, and I love that as like his tagline. That would be like in his Supernatural lawyer, commercial. It'd be like, Jordan Chase, the white lighter for the rest of us. Like that would be what that commercial would be. And I just loved that. I thought that was such a great line that really just we'll talk about it a little bit later, but you guys already know that I love Jordan. So it just made Jordan even that much cooler. And then of course, I loved the fact that they were eating a product called amazeballs, because it took me a second. Like, Chloe's eating these things, and she's just like, "Oh, try one. They're amazeballs," and I was just like, "That's a strange like adjective for her to say," but also it works out because she's that kind of excitable person. But then I looked at the hat and the apron that the person serving the food was wearing, and literally those things were called amazeballs. It's little things like that. It's little things like that in the writing that I really love. So there's that. So then they break up. Okay, so then they break up because Mel goes to see Roxy, and Roxy says that the Bebops are missing. And I don't know if I missed what the name of the band was before, but I love that they were called the Bebops. So she's like, "Hey, we need to find the Bebops," and Mel's like, "Actually, that's super important, especially with everything that's happening now, and because I'm into you." So then Maggie's like, "Yeah, but Jordan has a lead to follow up on that Chloe brought for the lost one." And she's just like, "Well, I kind of need to do this because I need to prioritize my relationship." I thought that was a little odd, because she explicitly said that, like, "I'm literally going to stay here because I don't want to choose the larger mission that's world ending over someone who could potentially be my new girlfriend." Which, I know that they said like we're dating and whatnot, but like it's not even your girlfriend yet. So like you're only dating. I think I would choose the world over somebody I'm just dating. That being said, um, that being said, I do like, I wish that she would have said something like, "This is also very important. These people who we care about are missing." One thing that she did say is, "What if that's just, it's just the lead. We don't even know what it's going to lead to. So why don't you go investigate? Call me if you need me." That was very reasonable. So just saying. And then of course Kaela was just gone. She got in her truck and was just gone, her little minibus. So they were all split up. Now, here's the thing: it was weird because they were at a moment of like they were feeling down. They weren't that happy because Dev died and because they feel like they're losing and whatnot. And they're all kind of doing different things. But I don't see that as like the sisterhood has broken down, which is like one of the conditions of bringing back the lost one, is that the sisterhood is down. The sisterhood was down because of Kaela, but it wasn't because like Mel and Maggie both had two very important things to follow up on. So I feel like maybe there was different. Maybe the show could have like conveyed the stakes of each thing individually to us. In the end, though, it all made sense. So I'm just saying. I actually really liked it, and I'm nitpicking here because when you have an episode that's so good like this one, nitpicking is what you get from a review. So I really, really liked it. So let's see. So the Bebops are gone. Then they find that one of the Bebops was dead, and I was like, "Ah!" And I loved how they found it, because they're like with a magnifying glass. I'm like, I did like that. And then Maggie's doing a spell so she can jump into the memories of Chloe's other sister, Daphne. Now, this was the interesting thing, was honestly, and I think this was probably part of the direction and probably what they told the actress playing Chloe, but like Chloe seemed a little off. She seemed like, and that's the thing about absent-mindedness or like being flighty, is that it makes it seem like maybe you are slightly untrustworthy, because she's just like, "Oh yeah, my sister Daphne, yeah, she's the one who did the thing. Well, I didn't even know you had a sister. Oh yeah, yeah, it's another sister that I have." And it was like, does she actually have another sister? And then she's like, "We need something that's important to your sister." And she's just like, "Oh, let me look at my purse." And she's like pulled this, the lip gloss. And I was just like, that seemed like she was kind of just throwing that out there, like last minute, kind of making it up as she went along. Like, I was scared that she was being drawn into a memory to be trapped there. Luckily for us, Chloe is still a good person and was not corrupted, because that's what I was thinking the whole time was, oh, Chloe, you better not be trying to double cross them. But it wasn't. It was her, and that led Maggie to. We're going to branch off. I'll talk about each thing now. Maggie went into Daphne's mind and saw that the Lost One took over, took the form of the dead sister from the first episode, I think, first or second episode, and yeah, and like convinced the third sister to be part of the unseen. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Then the Lost One sees her in the memory, sees Maggie in the memory, and I was like, oh, what? And so I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy, and then locked her in there. So she had to like commune and like borrow the power of the memory of the Pixie to get wings and get out of there. I think for me, the biggest weird part for that, for me in that scene, was that after she got trapped in the memory, Jordan's like, okay, I'm going to come and help you. And she's just like, no, I have to figure it out by myself now. And I'm like, okay, but you're like literally like trapped in a memory and you have no way of getting out. Like, this is not the moment to like say you don't need help. like I get it. Like, maybe I don't need help immediately, but like, be on standby to help me if I can't figure this shit out. So it just seemed like a really odd moment for her to like refuse help. Like, you know, maybe if she had done this whole spell and everything, even without anybody, maybe. But like, Chloe and Jordan are there. They're there to help with what they're doing right now. So then to say, no, 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 I don't need the two of you to help me. Because like, really, if you think about it, Chloe has wings and could have just flown down there. Because if Jordan could have gone down there, why couldn't Chloe just fly down there with her wings and grab her and then leave? So I don't know. That's just me. I notice you guys are having a whole conversation in the chat. And I love it, and I'm here for it. I'm waiting to get to it because I feel like that's going to be a large part of this discussion. But I really want to get through all of the amazing things in this episode first, and then we'll start going on to some of these theories. All right. So so that's Maggie. That's Maggie's storyline, and then she finds out that, okay, cool, this is what's happening with the unseen. So there's that. So if we go back to Mel, now, of course, Mel is helping Roxy try to find the Bebops. They find that one of them is murdered, so they follow a blood trail, and they take a drink me potion to turn tiny so they can go into a crack in the wall and find the Bebop who did murder the other Bebop. Turns out he was a member of the unseen. They make everybody big, and they punch him, and then now they know what happened. Okay, cool. And that was pretty much it. You know, but it was basically everybody coming to the same conclusion, but different routes. Then we get to Kaela, and this was the cool part because Ishani, her bus breaks down as she's going, and Ishani, who was one of the first charmed ones, she shows up with banana fritters and drugs. So I loved that. And she brings her through the story of the charmed ones and says the first charmed ones weren't sisters. They were just three witches who made an agreement to hold the power of three. The power of three, of course, being the power that was lent to the witches by the original 9 tribes. So I thought that was actually, a lot of this stuff was just really cool backstory. And the 9 tribes, I was trying to get like an actual list, but it was the Pixies, the Trolls. If anybody remembers the exact 9, because it seemed like they constantly were listing like 4 or 5 of them, but never gave the complete list of 9. But I would love it. Does somebody actually get all 9? Put it in the chat, please. But I was like, okay, cool. So it's like Lamia is a weird one to be one of the original 9 tribes, because if I recall, Lamia in like even in their original myths aren't like they're not like common in mythology. So very odd, just very odd indeed. So anyway, I did like that they had the original 9 They lent the power to the original charmed ones, and then one charmed one, because they borrowed. So because this was the cool thing, they had the power in order to defeat the Conqueror. The Conqueror, of course, being what Julian and his aunt, well, mostly his aunt Viv, was trying to be in the end of season 2. So again, these writers are not trying to pretend like the earlier seasons didn't exist. They are tying it all in. And the whole thing with the Conqueror and everything, that was important lore and mythos. And they're not just forgetting it and creating new mythos. It's cool. So they take it and they put it into the source, and then now they wanted the source and it's a tree. So that's the cool thing. So the original 3 charmed ones was Ishani, who was cursed to walk the earth alone for eternity. There was very little clarity on what that meant, because does that mean she's alive, or does it mean she's a ghost, or what does that mean? Then one of the other sisters is the guardian of the tree, so that's dope. And then the third sister was the lost one, and that's what we find out. The lost one is one of the first charmed ones who thought, okay, well, what we can do is I can take the power of the Conqueror and I can make the world good. So it's like, no, but nobody's supposed to have that power, though. Stop it. So I thought that it was really, really cool. And one thing I do want to mention here, and this is going back to Jordan, and this is a note that I wrote here, because she goes, you know what? I don't think that we should really see each other anymore because it's not a healthy relationship. And it's okay if you leave. I completely understand. And Jordan goes, no, I'm gonna stay around here because I'm gonna fight alongside the charmed ones, and I got to make sure that you're safe, and and all that stuff. And my note here is Jordan is still a real hero, even if he's not your boyfriend, Maggie. Because it just shows you, it's just like, obviously Jordan's only around for me. And it's just like, well, if he was only around for you, then why is he the white lighter for the rest of us? You know what I mean? It's like, I think, I hate to say it because Maggie actually has had some real character growth. But I think that this is just an example of how Maggie is, a little bit self-centered. She still thinks that Jordan is just there for her, where Jordan has been hanging out with the elves playing cards. He was the one who was helping kind of calm down the terrorists in the club. Like, he's been going around going to the rituals and stuff that all the other magical beings are doing. Like, he's totally a part of this, whether he's your boyfriend or not. So I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know why my throat just got very dry. So, and I see you, Lotus. Q. Leave Maggie alone. She's trying. And it's not, again, she's had great character growth, and I've actually come to really like her much more this season, and I would say some of last season. But I think it's just poking through. It's just that little niggle of something that I'm like, that just pokes through. But also, that's very much to her character. So I feel like that's good writing. It's keeping her character appropriate. It is kind of appropriate that she would think that Jordan is just there kind of for her, because every time she calls on him, he's there. So he must just be there for her. And she's not even checking up on him or trying to ask what he's doing outside. So like, when was the last time that she said, hey, Jordan, how are you doing? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's just how it is with Maggie. And that's fine. That's her character. You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to like every character. I like Mel, unless when she's overbearing. I like Kaela most of the time, except for when she's running away from her problems. I understand that aspect of her character, but I didn't like that was the choice that she made. But that's good. I mean, that's storytelling. I don't have to like the choices that she made. It's like reading a book. It's like if you're reading a book and you're like, no, why are you going down the hall? Or a horror movie. Why are you opening that door? Stop it. It's like, makes sense for the character to open the door. But like as the viewer, we're like, no, we know the killer's back there. So anyway, then everybody apologizes to each other after they all come back together. I thought it was really cool that not only were members of each of the 9 tribes, original tribes of magic, just performing a ritual, each of them had to sacrifice their lives. I thought that was cool. Roxy goes to sleep alone and without anyone to really even care for the club. So I feel like what this was leading up to was season 5 is probably Mel was going to take over the club for Roxy, and then it would be kind of like how Piper had her club, only this would be, or although this would be Mel with the supernatural club. So I think that's what was probably what it was leading up to. So if we had gotten a season 5, I think the Blue Camellia probably would have been the new central command center outside of the command center, I guess. I actually really like that they haven't been spending a whole ton of time in the command center this season. They really have been trying to be at different locations. And they've only really used the witch computer a few times. I like that the writers aren't necessarily using the witch computer as a crutch right now. But Roxy goes to sleep without anybody. And okay, and then Harry, he's back in the video store. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Before I get to there. So it ends with the charmed ones about to use their power of 3 to defeat the lost one, but the lost one has zapped the power of 3 now that the Unity Bowl has been, and she drinks basically and gives her the power of 3. So now the charmed ones are technically not really the charmed ones anymore. They're just 3 witches. So now they're going to have to figure out how to get the power of 3 back in order to defeat the lost one. So very excited about that. Now let's get to Harry in the video store. He's told that the video store was set up by a witch in another reality, another universe, I guess, a charmed one in another universe that would be there to help this one avoid the fall, and that, okay, I'm going to show you these videos, but you're not going to like it and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, I liked it. But what I'm seeing a lot of you saying here is that connects back to Phoebe. So here's the thing. I already knew going into this episode that my past theory was not correct. None of the original cast was going to show up. They posted it on Twitter, so I knew that was not going to happen going into it. Although I think it was a good theory, I guess I'll say. I still like the theory, even if it ended up not being true. That said, I did like that instead of the OG Charmed being the OG Charmed from like the original show, no, they're literally saying this is how these charmed ones are connected to the OOG charmed ones, like the very first ones. So I like that. It was kind of a little bit of a fake out because it made us all think that it was going to have some sort of like real connection to the OG charmed series, but they went back further than that, and I kind of like that. I like the fake out. I don't know, I'm weird. I'm gonna start hitting some of these chats here. Let's start with the big elephant in the room. Everyone says that Phoebe made the tapes. To be honest, I think it would be rather one of Phoebe's kids, as she had 3 daughters, but it is probably left open. I think the fact that we were told this is the episode that would link us to the OG Charmed, and we didn't get anybody from the original series of Charmed or a mention of any of their names or anything, that I think tells us that I don't think it was Phoebe. I don't think it was any of them. It could have been one of their kids, or could be another Charmed one from an entirely different multiverse. I guess that's what we're dealing with here, is multiverses now. I don't know. All right, let's see. Lotus Q, I'm glad you can make it too. Well, so Ray, so neither song seems appropriate on the occasion. So I think that was the reason why my brain interpreted the song that he sang as Somewhere Over the Rainbow. A lot of people do sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow at funerals and whatnot, because it's not necessarily talking about Oz, it's saying somewhere over the rainbow is heaven. So that's why some people do sing it in that case. What a wonderful world. That one seems like a weird one at a funeral, which might be why my brain again interpreted it as an entirely different song. But I mean, it's a good one. It's kind of a song about happiness. Yeah. Charm Power Babe, can Harry still orb? He cannot. That was actually something that was that they brought up when he turned into the necromancer. They said, "Wow," because when they tied him up, they said, "Wow, wouldn't it be great if you could orb out of your out of your ropes, huh? Isn't that a very convenient power to have that you gave up?" So yeah, so yeah, he can't. To be honest, I think it's interesting that Macy and Maggie were a whole lot closer in terms of being sisters, and it kind of shows in the way they grieve because Maggie went into a spiral. That's true. I definitely agree with that. Mel definitely wasn't as affected by Macy's death. You could tell, but I also think I think they were both affected in their own way, and everybody handles mourning and death, differently. So I don't fault either of them. Jordan can add White Lighter to his LinkedIn page. He would if anybody used LinkedIn. All right, so let's see. The VHS store reminds me of the record store from Cloak and Dagger. Oh, that is such a good comparison. Yes, it's very much like the record store. I freaking loved Cloak and Dagger. Oh, I loved that. I love that. Oh, I love that show. Cloak and Dagger was the bomb. That was a bomb show. I loved it. And not everybody enjoyed it. It would move slow. It brought in like a new pantheon of the voodoo gods. It had a whole brand new kind of outlook on stuff, and I liked that it existed in the same kind of universe as the Runaways because they kind of had a couple of crossover episodes. So I liked that as well. I thought it was an interesting new way for Marvel to try TV shows. Sadly, it did not work, and I don't think that those remain canon, at least not for the 616 universe. Moving on. I know this is not the Cloak and Dagger live stream, but seriously, I really liked that show. I might have to go back and rewatch that show because that show was so good. In the OG Charm, the sisterhood was only broken when the sisters did rage against each other and when one died. Well, obviously when one died, that makes sense. When they raged against each other, that's interesting because I feel like part of family and part of you know closeness is the knowledge that you can have a fight and still come back together. So like I don't even see fighting as like that should be a thing that really breaks the sisterhood, because that's the whole point, is that I am comfortable enough to have this full-blown argument with you and I know that we're going to be okay after that. And I think that that's what it's all about, right? Kaela is not there. She's like, no, I'm going to have this big fight and I'm out of here. So like that for me was breaking the bond that they had. That made lots of sense. But like Maggie and Mel, that didn't seem like, I mean, they've had like a million of those fights up to this point. And what, that did that break their sisterhood at some point? I don't think so. Also, I don't think that there needs to be a rule that for you to be sisters and to have the sisterhood, like you have to live under the same roof. Like, you know, like what if they all just bought their own houses? They lived, 20, 25 minutes away. Is that going to destroy the sisterhood if they don't all live together? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I feel like there's no set criteria for what the sisterhood is. You know what I mean? It's a little odd, but that that's neither here nor there. I'm more just rambling about that. Let me see. Poor Chloe can't catch a break. First, she gets caught in the pixie trap, and the charmed ones have to save her sister. Then her sister gets killed, and now her other sister manipulated into sacrificing herself, and it sucks. And poor Chloe, indeed. I wish that they were. I was hoping that they were going to be able to disrupt the ritual by talking Daphne out of it, but also I get what it means when somebody is radicalized. Like if she is there ready to give her life, a simple "don't do it" is not enough. Like she's already committed to doing this. And if she feels any camaraderie or duty or honor to the rest of the people in the unseen who had already given their lives, she might have been in the mindset of like, well, I can't not give up my life now. Then that would mean that all their deaths were for nothing. So it's like it's kind of balancing loyalties, and I feel for Daphne, honestly. Daphne had to make a really hard choice. I think obviously in the end she chose wrong, but I understand why she chose to sacrifice herself. She really wanted to. She was sacrificing herself for her sister, and she was sacrificing herself for the other people in the unseen. And she knew that it was going to hurt Chloe, but it was going to hurt Chloe either way, you know? So whether Chloe was there or not, she was ready to die to bring her sister back and to change the world for the better, because they were all sold that it was going to be this really great thing that was coming from releasing the lost one. So, whew. Wow, I can just talk, can't I? All right, let's move on to the next one. While looking for the Day of the Fall VHS, maybe they put one in that says like Memories of Phoebe or something. I mean, they could. Hey, Kevin, they could. I mean, so that might mean that in the next episode we have to be very, very clear on like watching the individual, like every word that's on each of the tapes, and to see if it says anything that we might be able to glean. Props are a fun way to add like additional lore and additional, background information just from the props that are used. I really like that. I thought it would have been a great opportunity to give Jordan the power to orb. Yeah, I think, oh, you're right, actually. That would have been a great moment for like Jordan to be like, I haven't been able to orb yet, but like I thought about it really hard and now I can orb to you and get you out of there, Maggie. I think that could have been pretty cool. That would have been a good moment of growth for him and his powers. But also, I kind of like him being, Jordan. He's Jordan, who's already amazing, but he can heal a little bit. Like, I don't even think he needs all the other White Lighter powers, because unlike other White Lighters who are only half of themselves, he is a hero who now has a little bit of power. So there you go. Let's see. I got what she meant, though. She didn't say that she didn't need Chloe's help. Maggie's point was that they over rely on each other and it was becoming toxic, and that's why she denied his help. Right. So I get that, but that's not the type of decision to make in the moment when you are trapped. So like, I got what she was trying to say too. It's all about timing. That'd be like, I'm trying to disarm this bomb and my boyfriend is on my ear trying to walk me through how to do it. And you know what? I go, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to finish disarming the bomb without your help. And he's like, but I know the right sequence of the wires to cut. And she's, I'll figure it out. It's too toxic for me to ask you for your help. Like, so like it's like in the moment there, it made no sense. The conversation afterwards was like, yeah, we're too toxic. We should probably not do this anymore. Sounds great. So that's more what I'm saying. If I said necromancer, I apologize. I did mean necro lighter. Okay, so the chat here just jumped, of course. Yeah, I was waiting for Chloe's wings to come out too, because she could have just gone down and got Maggie. Although Maggie figured it out. So, I mean, awesome. Harry is not good at his job now, is he? He is. He's a great necrolighter. He's not a whitelighter anymore. So what's his job? His job is to go talk to dead people. He's been doing that, so he's doing a good job. I tried to stick around for Cloak and Dagger, but I fell off mid-season 2 because it was too slow for me. It was a slow burn, but it all paid out because it was more about the relationship. And less about, because everybody signs on to a Marvel show because they want to see all the action and the craziness. And it's like, that's not what Cloak and Dagger was. That's not what Cloak and Dagger is in the comics either. Cloak and Dagger in the comics is very much about the relationship between Cloak and Dagger. So it makes a lot of sense that that's what the show would be. Let's see. Inara, the ultimate power. Let's see. So will we ever know what the deal with Mel's kid was? No, probably not. Different timeline and a different multiverse. I think I talked about this with Kristen on her channel, but it was basically just a wait so that they didn't have to keep cropping out Melanie Diaz being pregnant. They were like, here's a reason for you to be pregnant in the show. We don't really need to address it again. If they were, then they might have addressed it next season. But it could also be one of those things that, again, that like what they did with the Whispering Evil and defeating the Whispering Evil, that means that the future that baby was from kind of didn't exist anymore. Weird. It's time travel's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So that's all I have to say about that. So Inara straight up lied to you all. Also, hey, let's not like reuse names from other iconic characters too, by the way. Inara is from Firefly. So to have another character named Inara, all I'm thinking is Firefly this entire time. So we're saying Inara, and I know who we're talking about. No, it's crazy. All I keep thinking is the other thing. Let's see. Do you think it is going to be the 9 clans reclaiming their power from Inara that defeats her? That would be dope. Actually, I mean, because that's the whole thing, right? So that was kind of the storyline that was going on in this season, is that the other supernatural creatures were like, we want equal say, we want equal stuff. So it might actually, that's a great point. That's probably what the next episode is going to be, because them as just 3 witches without the power of 3, they're not going to be able to defeat her. So they're going to have to go to the 9 clans. They're going to have to go to all of the supernatural community and rally their help and their power in order to defeat her now. That's a great point, though. I didn't even think about how I had actually thought past to the strategy. I was like, I don't know. I can't wait to see what they do. But that makes sense, though. That makes a lot of sense of that could be what they do next. I like the fact that we introduced the multiverse to Charmed. Multiverse everything now. Since the multiverse has actually become a much more mainstream scientific theory, it makes sense that it would become part of the ongoing pop culture-ness that is our life. So I like that I like that it's being added into more things, because, you know, multiverse, basically string theory and whatnot. It makes sense that stuff, it's very mainstream right now. Has it been confirmed? Or a Charmed multiverse, Diana is a white lighter from another universe, correct? Yes. So I don't know if it's been confirmed, but she says, I'm from another universe. That would mean multiverse. So, I mean, they said it without saying it. Let's see. So does the whole stem cell thing change one's DNA? I'm kind of curious. So the way that stem cells work, and I am not a scientist, and I like the fact that they said how many people got Macy's stem cells. It was just 5 people. So I liked that. So, and they even said it's not just the stem cells. That was just kind of the catalyst, but none of the other people became Charmed ones. So there's something special about you. We chose you as like, so basically the original Charmed ones chose her to become it. So it wasn't Macy, the spirit, who was leading them to Kaela. It was, you know, Ishanti. Oh, now I'm trying to remember her name. The first Charmed one, the one that was cute and like bubbly. I liked her. So stem cells literally, here's the thing, it literally does kind of rewrite your DNA. What's usually, if you have something wrong with you, you know, because there's an issue with what's going on in your body, and introducing stem cells to it, kind of, you use it to kind of rewrite small, like like really, really small segments of your DNA, like not your overall everything about you, but like the DNA strands here, like for your finger, you know, like they kind of use stem cells, and that's what stem cell research is. It's really cool. And I watched a documentary on it once, and I don't remember necessarily every, you know, single little bit of it, but, you know, basically though, they do use it to mess around with DNA. So it doesn't like rewrite your entire thing. It doesn't turn you into a turtle. or but it does rewrite portions. Harry hasn't been there for the girls this season. It's very telling, especially because he is their former White Lighter. He wasn't necessarily there last season either. Like, he hasn't really been there since season 2. And honestly, season 2, he was kind of going on his White Lighter journey. Yeah, and he really hasn't been there since season 1. Then I guess he is his own character, and I am here for it. Is it canon? It is canon. It makes a lot of sense to reference. I don't think they're referencing the MCU. I think they're referencing multiverse theory, which is a scientific theory that's out there. Never got into Firefly. It never caught my attention. Oh, you're missing out. That show's so good. Of course, it's a Joss Whedon show, but yeah, take the good with the bad. It's a really good show. Alexander, the fact that someone as smart as Macy went on a dangerous solo mission is so unbelievable for me. Makes zero sense. I feel they could have done a better job on her ending. Well, she went on a solo mission to recover an ingredient. She didn't think that the Whispering Evil was going to be there. So, it's basically just about weighing options, right? It's like, I don't think that it was that dangerous for her to go and get an ingredient, right? I feel like that was completely, she didn't go there to fight the Whispering Evil. She went there to get the ingredient that they could then use to fight the Whispering Evil. So I was okay with it. It wasn't the smartest thing, but also I think she was the only one, if I recall now, of course, now we're talking a whole season ago. If I recall, she was the only one who had like the energy to do so, because everyone else was like tired out from fighting demon after demon after demon. So, hey, I was there. I was fine with it myself. That's just me. Also, can we talk about how even Kaela, though Kaela was chosen in the end, it's still her choice to be a charmed one? Correct. They can give her the power, but if she doesn't want to be a charmed one, then that eliminates the power of 3, and there won't be a power of 3. But she chose in the end to do it, so I liked that. I also liked the fact that what they said about the original Charmed ones is that because they sealed away the Lost One, that is what doomed all of the coming Charmed ones to lose one of their members. I loved that. I thought that was actually really a cool nod to, like, Prue, it was destined that someone was going to die, and Prue was the one. So if they come out with another Charmed One series after this, I guess we'll see if that ever happens, maybe another 5-6 years from now, and they come out with another reboot of it. At some point, one of those is going to have to die too, because that's just the way that it works. That's the show. That's the mythos, the history and the legend that has been now passed down. They cursed, exactly, Ray. They cursed themselves by having to do that. Now, they had to do it. So, there wasn't another way around it. They had to seal her away because she was too powerful. But it just sucks. It just sucks that then it condemned basically one member of all of the preceding, not preceding, all of the Charmed ones that came after them. One of them has to die. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. But also, I'm here for it. I like it. So let's see here. Outside of Prue offensive power, Piper and Phoebe wouldn't have made it past season 1. Also, without Phoebe's intuition, they wouldn't have noticed the time spells by Tempest, and they would have been done. True. That's why it's always 3, right? Because each one has their own powers, and they, combine into the awesomeness that is the Charmed ones. And then there's the power of 3 on top of that. But each of them is supposed to kind of bring a new piece to the puzzle. So definitely, season 2 Harry. I'm gonna head out, pretty much. Oh yeah, and season 1 Harry. I'm your White Lighter. Let's go. And I still like that scene in the first season where they're like, this will be our own little sisterhood, our own little new, club. And like, they made Harry part like an honorary sister. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. Let's see. So was Inara in the endless sleep when she was sealed away, or actually awake? I don't think that they've told us. but I'm going to assume that she was not asleep, that she was awake, because she was awake enough to manipulate all of these people into going through with her plans to bring her out. So, yeah. Oh, actually, then I will say she's definitely not asleep then, because she had to be awake. She was just locked away. Again, though, it's just like, why not put her in the Tomb of Chaos, where then she can't use any of her powers and she can't manipulate anybody? It just seems like, what's going on here? Like, come on now. Yeah, the main difference between the OG Charmed and the reboot is that the Vera siblings pretty much have everything given to them, while the Halliwells had to struggle to figure stuff out on their own. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't see how they were given everything, but I mean, hey, I mean, different interpretations of the same art. It happens. The flaw of this sisterhood has been they're too OP, which affects the sisterhood being more collective. I don't see how they're any more OP than the original, the original ones myself. As a matter of fact, like the OG ones, they got way powerful, especially along the way. Like, I don't know. I made a whole video about it in the first season, how like they got way more powerful from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 1, and then it was a little bit disconcerting. But also then they stripped them of a lot of their power in season 2, and they've slowly built up their power base again, like to like now they're probably equal to what they were at the end of the first season again. But it was a much slower progression, so I was okay with that, actually. So to me, especially with Maggie, because like Maggie's power progression just makes 100% sense, and I actually really love it. So yeah, anyway, I liked it. So I'm guessing the Tomb of Chaos came along after they sealed her off. Yes, I believe that that's the case. But oh, well, then that would explain why they didn't trap her in there. That makes a lot of sense. Yes, thank you. How are the Perfecti holding up meanwhile? But I bet they are watching and laughing their asses off. Well, since when you're in the Tomb of Chaos, you can't use powers, I would assume that they're not laughing because they don't know what's happening. They're just trapped in there forever, for eternity. I think Paige was very powerful. She can do a lot of things in season 8 in the comics. Exactly. I mean, to be fair, both the Halliwells and the Veras are the most powerful witches around due to the power of 3. Well, I'm even just talking about, like, despite the power of 3, right? Like, they're still powerful, and then they have the power of 3 on top of that. Cloak and Dagger was marketed as a teen drama before it released. Well, then that makes sense why it was then. So Macy could take Prue. Maggie could take Phoebe if you go by same year of each series. Piper is the only toss-up. Season 4, Piper explosion power speed is a game changer. Mel's molecular manipulation. So yeah. So, but again, pitting them against each other seems like an odd choice. But I mean, hey, I fun. So let's see. Does anyone else miss seeing the girls lives outside magic? I want to see Mel and Maggie at the college again. I feel like we really only even got to see them outside of magic. It wasn't even that many times in the first season. I feel like they kind of abandoned the idea of them existing outside of magic after the first season, and for good reason, though. Like, for good reason, because season 2 it was witchness protection, so they couldn't be in their regular lives. Season 3 we got more of a glimpse, so we did get to see a little bit more of them trying to reacclimate to their lives. But season 4, it's less about the lives because they already worked on it in season 3 and reestablishing themselves. Now in season 4, it's about trying to kind of reestablish themselves in the magic world again. So I think actually the progression of the story and everything is really good, and it's worked out to a point where, again, they're not forgetting what happened before. They're incorporating everything, the good and the bad, into what's happening now, and I think that's really awesome. So I really like whoever the writers are this season. and I should probably like start looking at names and stuff, but I really, really like it. I really, really like what they've been doing this season. So I like that. And it always happens with these live streams that like when we're about to wrap up is when we get like tons of people showing up. So I'm going to hit more of these comments. So any of the people who have shown up new and you want to throw a question at me, please feel free. There's always lots to discuss when we're talking about this show. Shame we won't see Parker and Abby. I think Abby left the show for good. I wasn't really I wasn't thinking that she was going to come back, because she went off and hanging out with her sister and doing stuff, and I'm fine with that. I think it's great. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, hey everybody, hit the like button. Hit the like button, share, and all the fun stuff. Subscribe. It's great. It's fun to do these things. I don't think Mel knows what freezing a human in ice long term, so she is more reluctant to use it outside of demons. Well, and that's fair. I think that I would like to think that they wouldn't use their powers against people. Also, because they're not supposed to necessarily just be like using their powers all willy-nilly around everybody. That's when you get the lady with the tentacle bag that comes after you when you use your power outside of that. Now, what does that mean though, that now they've taken her out, right? Is there anything else that's there to stop somebody from using magic in front of regular people? I don't even know. Let's see. They mentioned that Josefina was coming, and I got excited for no reason. Exactly. They said like, "Oh, she must be late," and it's like, "Oh, I really liked Josefina. I was expecting to see her as well, but sadly, no." We knew when they made the reboot that it was the beginning of the multiverse. I didn't. It could have just been because I guess technically a reboot is a reboot with different characters means it's a multiversal type thing, I guess. But also, could just be the same story but different and not connected at all. That's fine too. Do you think we will see more of Camellia? Probably not. I think now with Roxy going to sleep, I don't think that there's much else to explore there because there's no way to wake her up or anything. Again, I feel like it was setting up for Mel to take over the club, the Blue Camellia, and that's what it was setting up for. Was for them to have the club in the 5th season. People are still unfortunately gonna dismiss reboots. You would think the multiverse becoming more accepted, people would be accepting of diverse takes on familiar worlds. Not really, because people don't like change. And it's a very normal human thing to not like change. They want more of the same, and that's just a human thing. We want something that is familiar to us already. And if it is not familiar, if it is not the thing that we have already had, then we do not want it. That's why whatever music is popular, if somebody else makes a song that reminds you of that song you really like, then you also like that song. It's a thing. But if they were to take that song but change a lot of very important elements, you'd be like, why are they trying to take my favorite song and change it into a different song? And it's just like, I myself will always give a reboot a chance. If it's a show, if it's a reboot of something that I have enjoyed in the past, then I will always give it a shot because I feel like it's a continuation of the thing that I love. And even if it's, the same story, but with some changes and whatnot, like I'm okay with it. Like it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't destroy what I already love about the thing to see something else, So like seeing the new Charmed doesn't destroy if you like the old Charmed. It doesn't destroy the old Charmed. The old Charm's still there. Go watch it. It doesn't destroy anything. It's just telling different and new stories and exploring different avenues and whatnot. And I think that's the problem with the idea of a reboot. I think people seem to really just be against the idea of reboots because Hollywood they're not original anymore. There's nothing new under the sun. Stop trying to just remake things that were popular in the past. To a degree, I can see that because it's been happening like a lot. But also, if they can take it and make something really good out of it, go for it. I don't know. That's just me. I don't have an issue with reboots as a whole. It just needs to be uh good. I think she wants to give magic to everyone, which is why not just let the Conqueror do it. I really think a better plot would have been her reclaiming the power of three, but then still having their witch powers just not charmed again. Well, but that's what happened. They were trying to use the power of three on her, and the power of three was gone. It didn't say that she took all their powers, so they're still just now three witches. Unless they say something at the beginning of the next episode, but there was nothing explicitly said that that their individual powers were gone, just that the power of three was not there. So yeah, and the goal of her is to give everybody magic. That is definitely true, which some people would be like, well, what's wrong with that? Why can't everybody just be magic? But I'm very interested for the next episode for them to explain the two sides so that we as the viewer can kind of decide, like, well, is it a bad thing for her to give magic to everybody? I wonder. I'm sure some people would think that it's a good thing. And if somebody is like filming their engagement with the lost one, they might be like, oh, see, the charmed ones don't want you to have magic. So I could see that. If their powers derive from being charmed, I think they're powerless now. Well, but there's a difference between a witch and a charmed one, because a witch is a person who knows magic. A charmed one is three specific witches who were given the power of three. So, and I think it maybe wasn't necessarily pointed out as well, maybe in the OG series, but in this series, we've established there are witches all around everywhere. There are three specific witches who are the charmed ones who have the power of three. So which is the power that was granted to them now we know, by the 9 tribes and all that stuff. So what that means is that they should still have their powers at the beginning of the next episode, unless they say something else. So that's what I'll say. Did Mel even put the book back? Because she did get it one day before the attack that happened in season 2. If she took the book, that meant the portal never opened to the command center. So what that means, here's time travel for you, Charmed Power Babe. She said when she took the book from the past now to the present, she said, now, of course, I'm going to have to return this book to that precise second back in the past. Otherwise, it'll mess up the whole timeline. So now, since the timeline hasn't been messed up, that technically means that Mel will survive long enough to return the book. Otherwise, everything would be untangled and the entire universe would be gone. So it would create a paradox, and then that would be very, very bad. Yeah, there you go. So we have been here for over an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me, talking about this last episode. I really, really loved it, and you guys had so many great questions. But thank you for coming here. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. And, I've been your host, Aloy. This has been The Turnout. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you in the next one. I'm so excited for the next episode.